If you have been watching this channel long enough, you know how highly I speak about Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. In fact, I think he's the best politician in South Africa right now. I always say the EFF is not great because of Julius Malema, but because of the brains and the characters that surround Julius Malema. In a beautiful debate between political parties, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi chose to educate the public and the other political parties in an interview with Radio 702. Radio 702 is taking over this political debates these days. I mean, they are on fire. They are on fire. Let's quickly listen to what Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi said.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Ndlozi, you heard what Umama said. In fact, there's a young man here who's a graduate, who's unemployed, who's asking about how that township economy can work for them. How are you proposing as a solution to deal with, one, the issue of spaza shops that are mostly dominated sometimes by foreign nationals, and where communities sometimes feel the opportunity is taken away from them? And how do we fix that so that that somehow leads into fixing the issue of unemployment in our communities?
There is obviously two conceptual problems. The first one is township economy. A township is a spatial development of the apartheid regime to keep people, black people, outside of the terrain of the main demand and supply that constitute the economy. In townships, they live in overcrowded areas on top of each other, areas that are often impossible, by the way, to service because of landlessness and so on and so forth. We don't believe. We believe that you've got to disarticulate a spatial geography called the township. There must be one economy, and the activities of that economy must benefit our people. I'll come back to that. The second misconception is to confuse non-regulation of trade, non-regulation of spaza shops, to be a problem of foreigners. Even if those foreign nationals, you were to document them, the failure to regulate is the failure of government. The spaza shops in Soweto are not owning the land. They are not owning the places where they are selling. They are paying rent to the people of Soweto. Ukoko une garage, hires the garage out, takes rent from the person that is operating in there, mixes that rent together nomdende wakhe to make a living. Government's role is to regulate. You've got to regulate what is being sold there if it is not expired. And that's not just about those spaza shops. It's about all the shops. It's about Spare. You should go to the villages. Some of the big brands that are selling in the distant villages in South Africa are not regulated. That's how you're going to avoid the situation of bad food or poisonous food that is happening there. But what I cannot lie about, I'm not here to mislead our people. As South Africans, we must be honest. As a Pakistan, you can't leave Pakistan, take a garage yomuntu by force in Soweto. These are tenants. All of those foreign national spaza shops, they're paying rent in Soweto. It's a business. It's a business opportunity for the people of Soweto themselves. How do you deal with an economy? The South African problem of unemployment is chronic. Unemployment has been part of the South African reality since the late 1980s. Two is because there's been deindustrialization and over-financialization of the South African economy. There are no factories. I mean, this joke of Panyaza, of Nancy Span, You know what is that? Nancy Spani is like the food parcels, Mzwandi, that you used to distribute there when you were a mayor during elections. After elections, they are gone. Ne?
Stop gossip.
All those jobs,
Gossip, let's debate.
all those jobs, it's not gossip, it's fact. All those jobs are going to disappear before the end of the year because they are not jobs. What and how are we going to create jobs, Clement? Two things. One, we've got to build internal state capacity to deliver the state services. Do away with the tenders. Insource the workers. The people who build roads must be employed on a full-term contract. They must build and maintain roads. Initiate mega infrastructure projects through, for an example, build, operate and transfer contracts that you can enter with countries like China, Russia, even the Europeans. Secondly, import substitution. As early as the 1800s, the United States historically was not always the most powerful economy in the world. You can go check the economic history of the US. The basic policy that allowed them to overtake Europe is what they called protection of infant industries. You've got to literally say the following products we can produce locally. And I give an example with one product. All the plastic products in South Africa, why are they produced from China? Because in the process of turning coal into petrol, Sasol has a byproduct of plastic. That plastic goes into Europe, goes into Indonesia, goes into China, comes back as a chair, as fork and knife, as Tupperware.
Yeah.
You've got to implement import substitution, protect infant industries in the plastic sector, open the factories for the goods that we are consuming in the economy. That's how you're going to create jobs. And those jobs, South Africans, let us not allow to be kitchened into the township. All of South Africa's economy belongs to all of us.
Zandile?
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane Zinjiva, Mr. King 053, Mr. Easy Imali Enengi Nengi. And we're back at it again with another one. And this time we're covering my favorite politician in South Africa, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. I'm telling you guys, Radio 702, I didn't even know there was a station called Radio 702, to be honest, are taking over. They are taking over. They are taking over. The interviews are on fire. I guess it's that type of a season. It's an election season. Everyone is doing their best to promote all the political parties. Now, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, as you have heard, speaks, he broke it down nicely for us when it comes to township economy. You know, this township economy, for me, as a Pan-Africanist, I always ask, is the business of rental of black to black, African to African? I always start there as a Pan-African. I mean, I don't have a problem if a Zimbabwean person is running a tuck shop in a township. I don't have a problem if it's a Nigerian person. For me, when it's black to black, as a Pan-Africanist, some of you might not agree, as a Pan-Africanist, I'm okay with that. What I'm not happy with is those Africans that don't identify as black, the Somalians don't identify as black, don't get treated as black. The Indians don't identify as black, don't get treated as black. The Pakistanis don't identify as black, don't get treated as black. That's where my problem comes. Our African brothers and sisters, our businesses are not advancing the African agenda of unity. I will say it like that because most political parties can't say it because they have to be diplomatically right. Africa against, I don't care if my hair is cut by a brother from Nigeria, Lesotho, or a South African. I don't care if it's cutted by those people. Once a person that comes from outside Africa or outside the borders of black, we give that money to those people. That's where I have a problem. Because the African rand does not rotate amongst the African people. Immediately we get our money, we immediately give it out to the next people, to the other races. The other races keep their money. You see how loyal Chinese are to Chinese people. You see how Indians are to Indian people. You see how loyal Somalis and Pakistanis are to their people. But we as African people, our problem is that we don't have enough trust in ourselves. We don't have enough unity. We don't care about ourselves. So yes, regulation, of course, is a government issue. The government must regulate. They cannot be in this proximity of 2 kilometers radius or whatever it is, that there is so many Pakistani shops. It cannot be. It cannot be in one street that you find 3 or 4 of those shops. You are killing the black business. And I understand there is no township economy that we are talking about. This township economy historically was created to displace, to discriminate against black people so that they can stay there in the township. We did not own any means of production. We did not own the products that we were selling. Some blacks were privileged enough to go to town and stock and come and bring it back and sell it here in the townships. So it's not something to celebrate. Township economy. What township economy? I agree with Dr. Mbuyiseni. We must have one economy, the South African economy, where the inclusion of black people in production, in manufacturing is there. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, and don't get me wrong with Somalians. Somalians, there is black Somalians. Somalia is a beautiful country. For those who don't know, it has the longest coastal shore line in Africa. You can imagine that. You can imagine how big Africa is. Somalia has got the longest, let me say, beach line. So for those who don't know what coastal line is, they have the longest beach longest seashore in Somalia, about 3,300 kilometers. 3,000 kilometers of just seeing the sea. Wow, that is an economy on its own. Indigenous animals there, there's so many things. But of course, our African brothers, they are affected by the wars that is happening there between them and Ethiopia and so on. So they come here as refugees. That is why they cannot own this property here in our land. They rent our garages, they rent our things, and then, like Mbuyiseni Ndlozi says, some of our grandmothers or some of these families really need that income of these people there. But it does not have to be like that. Regulate you as the government who can rent and who cannot rent. Regulate you as the government. Manje masuti regulate, they're going to discriminate against our African brothers. I can't vote for that. I cannot ever vote for African discrimination, for xenophobia, for anything that looks down to our African people. We as black people has suffered enough. I've shown you people the videos of how many South Africans are abroad. They voted in different countries. About 250,000 South Africans live in the UK alone. About 100 and something, there's so many South Africans living abroad. I think somewhere in the 40,000 or something like that. Here in Mozambique alone, South Africans living everywhere in around the world, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, everywhere. I'll try to play the clip here on the side so that you guys can see that. For me, unemployment is directly tied to the minerals of our country, the ownership of minerals. As long as we are debating unemployment as if it's a thing, as if jobs are, like, people don't understand how to run a country. Once you own the minerals can fund the NHI, the minerals can fund education, the minerals can fund farming, the minerals can do anything in this country. I told you enough that our economy can be run by the coal reserves that Mpumalanga has, the whole economy. How many trillion is it again? Some few trillions. How many trillions is it? 440 something trillions of our budget. It can be ran by coal reserves alone. That's one mineral. How many minerals that South Africa have? 90% of the world platinum comes from South Africa. The world platinum comes from South Africa. What is South Africa getting out of those platinum trades? Nothing. Nothing. Those people can, those white-owned companies can easily fund free education, easily build new universities, easily build new schools, easily give people houses freely. Freely. When you get married, here's a house, 3-bedroom, gate and toilet and egg. Somewhere with a car. What is your business idea? Let us fund it. That's how much minerals can run this country. Congo is the richest country in the world when it comes to minerals. The callback that they are using there, not the callback is in, yes, the callback that they are using there is in our cell phones, in our TVs, in our cars. They use it in our batteries. Everything is there. But Congo's diamonds alone can wipe up the debt of the US. You understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? So for me, I don't understand how we're going to get this thing right if we don't take our economy back. Let's go back to Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi before I lose my thought, where he's speaking about ways attacking and educating Herman Mashaba and others.
Just an opportunity to say to South Africans what your selling point is. There were other issues we've not touched on around service delivery, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, the issue of crime, the issue of immigration as well. I don't think we sufficiently touched on that. We'll start with you, Dr. Ndlozi, just to touch on those issues and what is important for the EFF as people consider whether or not to trust you with their vote.
Well, I'm completely flabbergasted by the hypocrisy of Herman Mashaba. Herman Mashaba spends 100% of his time convincing us of less than 2% of South Africa's economy. Less than 2%. We must take the spaza shops. Why don't we take your Oppenheimer's mines? That's where the economy is. Why don't you have the same balls when it comes to the major industrial hubs of South Africa? You know why? It's because firstly they are white owned and they are his funders. We must press amongst each other, fighting from the cramps that fall from the master's table. We're not going to join that table. We want the mainstream. The history of the township starts with the dispossession of the land to do business, the land to mine, the land to farm, the land for human settlement. I'm completely shocked. And I think it's important for that particular rhetoric to be exposed for what it is. You are not mobilizing us for the economy. You're not mobilizing us for the banks, for the financial muscle that is privatized and circulating only amongst the minority in the population. We want the real economy, and let me tell you, since 1955, the people of this country have always known that it's about the banks, it's about the mines. Do you know, Clement, the biggest zamazamas in this country are the Oppenheimers. Go look at the gold that they've looted in Carltonville. Left a damaged environmental area with dolomitic areas. People have sinkholes. It's a dead town. Go to Velcom, go to Kimberley. What a shameful family. And to take their money is to take blood money. Money that has been denied majority of the South Africans from their natural wealth. The final point. I'm shocked, you know, the DA man here. The DA man here is old enough. He's old enough to have grown under apartheid. Apartheid was a government of parastatals, my brother. The Afrikaner population in the 1930s accounted for less than 7% of the GDP. They were so niggerized. They were the poorest whites in the world. They were an embarrassment to the white supremacist culture. Apartheid took over. You must study your history. through parastatals, through state-owned entities. Forget Venezuela, it's your only lazy intellectual example. Let's talk apartheid that uplifted white people in this country. They were uplifted through parastatals, Transnet, Sasol, ISCO, you name them. That when you saw that you are about to lose power, you then privatized them. But forget Venezuela for a while. Let's do, don't be anti-academic like Hemen. We are very proud of our degrees. We got them working very hard. What is the world economic history? What is the world economic history? After World War II, Europe's public infrastructure was devastated. How did you rebuild Europe? State parastatals. China is the fastest growing economy in the world today and the largest economy in the world today. Same as Vietnam, those are communist countries.
Okay.
Have the decency for intellectual honesty. Neoliberalism doesn't work. You are governing Tswani. There is no employment in Tswani. Water has collapsed. Services have collapsed because majority of the population there maybe is black. I don't know.
Thank you
You
very
are a
much,
failure as the DA.
Zandile?
Yeah, people like Bohemen Mashaba, and I'll get guys, go to Radio 702 and go and watch the full interview. I might just do a part 2 of this because they spoke about land and everything else, all the important topics in South Africa. I just chose these 2 clips because the EFF posted it on their Facebook page. Listen, my people, this thing of we need to take back the township economy, you don't even know the percentages. Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is telling us that the township economy is only 2% of what is happening in South Africa, economical wise. 2%. That's what you guys are crying for. That's why when the Guptas, you guys were saying the Guptas are stealing Eskom and whatever, we asked you, what percentage is the Guptas supplying coal to Eskom? Only to find out it was 7%. People were crying about 7%. What was their company again, Tigeta or something like that? 7%. That's what the Gupta family was supplying to Eskom. 90% of the contracts that Eskom gave out was to white companies. You never complained about that. You never complained about captured Eskom. When Jacob Zuma and the Guptas got a taste of the pie, then people lose their head because white people, even if you take 7%, they can't allow it. Now they will leave you guys to fight over this township economy because they know it's 2%. What do white people have to lose when the township economy grows or goes down? What do they have to lose? In fact, they have infiltrated your township economy. ShopRite is in the township. Checkers is in the township. They are getting in there because they see you guys don't want to work together as black people. You don't want to manufacture. The white people that own the factories that were in the township, they closed those economies and left. Because in the apartheid days, the apartheid government supported them. Those factories were not built from people's pockets. The apartheid government was funding businesses to go and operate. Listen, go and operate there in the township. Do school uniform there. Do some clothing factory there. Do some, just sell some things to those kafirs. At least let them not come to town too much. Keep them there. So Abu Hemen Mashaba, they will always speak against those things. They will never say anything about mines, the banking sector. Listen, when you go, you guys, you Africans, when you go, when you go and buy a car, and the car dealership sends your application to the bank. The bank analyzes it and they say, okay, he's got a pay slip, a 3-month bank statement. We see this person qualifies. They give you numbers. They don't give you a car. The bank is the only institution in the world that does not, the bank and the reserve banks, the financial sector that is owned by white elites, they don't have to explain to anyone. Nobody checks them where they got the money. That is why it has always been said, if all of us went to the bank and said, can we please have our money? They don't have it. Money is digital. It's numbers. When you say your car is 500,000, they give you a digital number of 500,000. You give them a physical money every month back to their account. You call it installments. The banks don't have the money. The money is our money. They don't even have, you know the concept of they take this his money, then they borrow to this guy, and then they make profit so that they can pay this. They don't even do that, the bank. They just type 500,000, they send it to the dealership. Then they say, no, the car is paid, Mr. Hlongwane, thank you so much. You can take the car. Your installment is only 8,500. Yes, I've got the car. You don't know where's the money. Nobody asks the bank anything. That's why I said to you guys, if the Reserve Bank can print money and give it to the DA and say, go and campaign, what are you guys going to do? How are you guys going to find out? Who's going to investigate this thing? You as the country don't own your Reserve Bank. You don't own the printing rights of your currency. This is what happened in the west of Africa with the Franco currency. The French, when it colonized the Burkina Faso, Mali, Chad, Gabon, Senegal, all of those countries, they used the currency that was printed in France. And that currency that was printed in France could not be bought. In France, that currency cannot buy anything. It only works in Africa, but it's printed in France, the evil France country. And now, as we speak, our youngest president, Ibrahim Traoré, 35 years, of Burkina Faso, had another coup attempt to take his life, assassination attempt, 11th one. They killed Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso for standing up and resurrecting Burkina Faso. And now the 11th attempt to Captain Ibrahim Traoré, General Ibrahim Traoré, they trying to take his life. The people of Burkina Faso, excuse me for going off topic, are saying to Ibrahim, extend your time. You are doing a great thing in our country. We have never seen things. Through the sanctions, through everything, Burkina Faso is rising up. But South Africa is afraid to take back their minds from the Oppenheimers. Come to us who stay here in Kimberley, the diamond capital city of Africa. We will tell you that this city, the first city in South Africa to have electricity, it's a redundant city. There's nothing you can do here. There's no development in Kimberley. Development is at a slow pace, snail pace, I mean. The land outside Kimberley is still owned by white monopoly capitalists. They build a new university here. They build it right in the middle of Kimberley because they can't get land outside Kimberley. 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers to develop and grow Kimberley. Go to Velcom and look at how Velcom looks. My African people, let's wake up, man. Let's wake up. Can somebody wake up? This thing of township economy is not the true economy. The true economy is in the financial sector, is in the agricultural sector, is in the mining sector. That is the true economy. Those are the economies that are running this country. Can somebody type amen on the comment section? I'm preaching here. And, let me not touch these Oppenheimers funding political parties. We know they need representatives in parliament as much as possible to assist this weak DA. They need parties like the Action SA, BOSA, whoever they are funding, because they know those people will vote with the DA party. They know. They're funding even the IFP. They know those people will vote with the DA in terms of certain motions that must be passed in parliament. Because we as black people, we are easily bought. One thing I don't agree with the EFF is getting rid of the BEE. The EFF is always saying that. And I'm saying, excuse me, and I'm saying no. BEE is not a new thing in South Africa. Apartheid government had a form of BEE where they were funding white Afrikaner companies, where they were giving them tenders, where they were giving, the tender system has always been there. It was not created in 1994. It wasn't. Don't let these people lie to you. As if we black people are looting. White people became instant millionaires because of the tender system during the apartheid era. So now that it is black people, who is going to favor us as black people? That's my question. Let me stop there. Thank you so much for Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi for speaking like this. I just had to add a little bit of my 2 cents there. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in on King Said So. Let's continue to grow the channel, guys. If indeed you are enjoying the content and you want to subscribe, it's totally free to subscribe. You don't pay anything. You just click the subscribe button, pela lapo. You don't pay us anything. The way, if you want to promote the channel, is to share the channel, click the thank you button, become a member. That's how you can go over and aboard to thank us for creating this content. But otherwise, you are doing good in watching and just clicking the subscribe button. That's absolutely free, costs you nothing. Until we meet next time, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child, do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace and Pan-Africanism. I salute you.